Hey, good evening. Pastor Mary here with you. It's Thursday night and it's October 1st. I don't even have to look. It's good to be with you. And Christopher, you hear the TV in the background. Christopher likes to watch the beginning of ABC News. So he's... All right, Christopher, you need to turn off, please. He's got to see the beginning with David Muir. He likes David Muir. So good evening, whoever's on. Oh, Kathy and Sandra together. Hey, good evening, good evening. So, we have dinner usually right before we get on. Oh, Paula, hey, and Bill, good evening, good evening. So I don't see much of the news. I watch it later and stuff like that, but there was something really good and something really sad tonight. So, and I wanted to say a few things about both of them, but I also promised to read you my friend's obituary for a dog. I told you a little bit about it last night, but so let's start with the sad so we can end on a good note. Good evening, Laura. I just wanted to say a word. You know, if you watch this at all, you know that sometimes I make comments about people in the news. I do want to say happy birthday to my cousin Brad. It's October. Half my class, my high school class of 35 of us, I think, over half of us were born in October. I think there's somebody else's. Is it Joellen? Well, it could be Joellen's birthday, but I think her birthday's in a few days. But, hey, good evening, Laura. But our cousin Brad Wewell, his birthday is today, so happy birthday to Brad Wewell in Texas. Happy birthday to President Jimmy Carter, who is the oldest living president ever in all the history of the United States of America. He is 96 young years. He is an amazing person. I really thought he was gone a few years ago, but God has given him more years. But I just heard tonight, I was sad to hear he has retired from doing his Sunday school class, but I more than understand why he's not doing it, especially with all that he has had happen and with his help. And I just wish him a great celebration. Good evening, Susan, and pray that he will have another wonderful year on this earth as he teaches us how to be servants and care for one another. So the part that was very sad to me, and I probably will post something about it, is, and I don't know them, I will probably never meet them, but the couple, Chrissy Teigen and John Legend, had shared publicly that they had lost their baby. We love John Legend's music in our house. Christopher, the first time he heard John Legend's song, All of Me, which is a beautiful, beautiful piece he wrote for his wife. We were driving in the car and Christopher heard the song and he said, what song? What's the name of the song? What's the name of the song? Who's singing it? And when we got home, good evening, Karen. When we got home, Christopher went right to the computer, typed in All of Me, John Legend, and pulled up the song. And it's been one of his favorite songs since then, and it's one of my favorite songs. Well, anyway, I give them a lot of credit. Chrissy had to go into the hospital on bed rest. They just lost their baby yesterday or today. That she'd made it to halfway through the pregnancy, and she'd been on bed rest the last few weeks. And having gone through 5 miscarriages, my heart goes out to them, the great loss and sadness that I know they're feeling, and I just wish people would leave them alone. But I want to offer prayers for them and my condolences at their great sorrow. It's the one thing in my life that I wish people didn't have to go through, would be having a miscarriage or losing a baby. It's just, you just don't know how painful it is unless you've been through it. And my heart, it's not a club I want anybody to have to join. So, hey, good evening, Deb. So anyway, they're just, Chrissy Teigen and John Legend are in my prayers tonight. And I pray for comfort for them in their sorrow of losing their baby. So, all right. So then I told you, if you heard me last night, about my roommate, college roommate, and dear friend Maria, who's an Episcopal priest. I shared about her dog, little Eddie. But I said I couldn't pull up the obituary she wrote, which was sweet and a little sad because she's missing her dog, and but also funny. So a couple of you wrote me and said that you got a big kick out of it because you've had dogs like this too. So, but I said I wanted to read the obituary for the dog that Maria wrote, which I think is just really wonderful. So this is what she wrote yesterday. It is with deep sadness that I report the passing of Edward Vedder Harris Evans, a.k.a. Little Eddie, on September 30th, 2020, after a one-day rapid decline following a year of chronic renal failure, finally making his journey under the care of Dr. David Moore at the Adair County Veterinary Clinic in Kirksville, Missouri. Eddie was pretty much a fugitive from justice his entire life. Good evening, Phyllis. He started life as a dog of the streets, roaming the streets of Kirksville, Missouri, and through a convoluted tale too long for this obituary, found his forever home with Maria Evans. Maria preferred larger, more trainable dogs, but somehow this little, incorrigible 22-pound ball of fur wrapped himself around her heart. As was evidence from early on, Eddie's main skill was pooping. Copious, voluminous amounts that seemed impossible for a dog of his size, and at times with malicious undertones. It was not unusual to find a pile next to one of Maria's shoes or articles of clothing after being punished. His greatest accomplishment was precariously picking his way to the top of a 7-foot snow pile in the Great Kirksville snowpocalypse of 2011 and pooping at the summit, only to watch with dismay as it slid down the side. His favorite hobby was collecting dirty underwear into a pile and rolling in it, thinking somehow this somehow enhanced his appeal. It didn't. Eddie the dog basically eschewed authority of all sorts. Good evening, Doris, Sherry, and I said Phyllis, okay. He never learned to obey any commands other than to come when his name was called. Sometimes, when asked to sit, he would look at you as if to say, "You sit if you think it's so great." He never learned to do tricks because he considered that to be a behavior of more weak-minded dogs, and he often encouraged his siblings to not knuckle under to the wishes of the Who Man. He ate when he wanted, slept when he wanted, and did as he pleased his entire life, with the exception of being on a renal failure diet for a year until a little more than a week before his demise. Good evening, Todd and Susan. He spent his last days enjoying grand and glorious canine feast that included deer burger and every kind of treat imaginable, including Little Debbie oatmeal snack cakes. Maria had put a picture up that little Eddie had found her stash of Little Debbie oatmeal snack cakes and ate half of one before she found it. Yet at the same time, little Eddie loved to be with Maria, and one of the highlights of his elder years was to accompany her as she commuted back and forth from Kirksville to St. Louis, or later Rolla, Missouri, in her role as an interim priest. That said, there was some question at the level of the bishop's office if Eddie would hinder the priestly vow Maria had to take to pattern her life and that of her household in accordance with the teachings of Christ. Eddie's history also included attempting to pee on a priest's foot at an animal blessing. Poor that Eddie, I'll tell you. All little Eddie's social shortcomings aside, he remained a faithful companion of Maria's and on occasion earned his keep by cornering possums who outsized and outweighed him and killing various varmin, although we won't talk about the crawdad who got the better of him. I want to hear that story, I'll tell you. He had a zest for life and adventure, and at the same time could be quiet and cuddly when a quiet, cuddly pal was what Maria needed. He was an escape artist of note, and it was not easy to enclose Eddie in a pen, earning him the nicknames Houdini and MacGyver Eddie by his friends. He was loved by many, and his antics were often the talk of Facebook. He will be missed by many who loved him and were cheered by his adventurous and devil-may-care spirit. In addition to being survived by Maria, he is survived by his sister Diamond, also of the home. Eddie was preceded in death by elder brothers Mr. Willis Woo Dog and Boomer. Eddie will be cremated and interred in the native Missouri flower garden at Maria's home, where the ashes of his pal Boomer reside at a later date. Memorials are suggested to the Adair County Humane Society or any humane society if you'd like to honor a canine life well lived. And this is the picture of Eddie. Little Eddie, who liked to poop, who never obeyed a rule, and ate a Debbie snack cake the week before he died. Well, Maria, I'm thinking of you. I know your animals, like many people, your animals are your family, and I know you gave him a good life, but I know you're missing him tonight. So I just want you to know we're thinking of you and praying for you and hoping that little Eddie is loving being in heaven, because as someone asked me once, well, do dogs go to heaven? I said, well, did God create them? I think that's your answer. Now, I don't have proof of that, but you know what? God created all the creatures and animals. Now, you may say, well, are there mosquitoes in heaven too? Well, unless they're needed, I hope not. But, I'm not God. So I just hope for the best. And I hope little Eddie is getting to enjoy the life after here. All right. So tonight's story that I'm sharing from Daily Guidepost is one that I think, if you're like me, you need this. You need some peace and rest, unless you're getting too much peace and rest, which a few of you might be, but plenty of people are probably like me, in which you don't feel a whole lot of peace and rest these days. There's just too much to do or too much going on. And some of the days go by so fast, I'm like, where did it go? But then I look back and I can see all the things that happened in that day, but I still have a bunch left to do the next day. So this one is a reading from September. It's from Psalm 23, which I believe we will hear this Sunday as well. But it's verses 2 to 3. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. Evelyn Bentz is the author, and she says this. I wondered why an adolescent neighbor friend has been eager to come to church with me for several months now. The service is traditional and liturgical. Think page-turning in hymn books and prayer books. Think stained glass windows, a road choir, and a somber doxology. It's not the jazzed-up hour that young teens stereotypically enjoy. It's not the exuberant Spanish church she attends when visiting her grandmother. Last week, wondering if the novelty was wearing off, I asked, do you want to come again next week? Definitely, a word I'd never heard her use. But a different phrase in her repertoire identifies her need that helps me understand the church's draw. Lately, she's been asking for what she calls peace and quiet in her grandmother's kitchen or extended hours in my dining room. It's something she misses at home, where she shares a room with a rambunctious sister. Where did you hear the word peace and quiet? I asked. It's what the teacher wants sometimes. Oh, yes. Although I think Amy has said that her kids are very quiet because they're always texting, and she could use a little noise. In chaotic seasons, I've sought out a serene setting, if not at church, says some congregational worship services don't engender a beside quiet waters experience. Then on a nature walk, at a courtyard fountain, or with soothing bedtime music. In lonely times when I've complained about having too much peace and quiet, I've allowed the Good Shepherd to fill and still my thirsty heart, soul, and mind. If not at church, then in a friend's kitchen, or with an open book of psalms or songs. Do I find refreshment? Definitely. Eventually, God restores my soul. And the prayer is, Lord, lead me to a rippling brook or some other peaceful place where you can and will refresh my soul. Well, like you, I need my soul refreshed. I've learned in life, if you want to be able to love other people, if you want to be able to care for other people, you've got to care for yourself. Good evening, Cheryl and Vaughn. You've got to care for yourself. You've got to carve out time, even if it's 5 minutes, or 3 minutes in the bathroom alone, or a few minutes in the car. But we all some need more, others need less, depending on your personality. But I believe that we all need peace and quiet. We need some time to let God be with us. And whether we hear God's voice or experience God in the scenery or in a reading or just being in a room with a loved one, I believe we all need some peace and quiet. And sometimes, especially now, when families are home all together all the time, it can feel like you can't get any peace and quiet. That the only time you can get peace and quiet is when everybody goes to bed. And for some people who are living alone, it can be too much peace and quiet, and they need to experience God's presence through others. So I know, looking at this list, some of you are living alone. Some of you are living with kids at home who are noisy and loud and have a lot going on. Some of you are staying in touch with family and friends through phone calls, through online chats. Some of you see them every day, but what I wish and hope for all of us and all of you is that you have an opportunity. And if it's been a while, I hope that you will find a way to take a walk or sit outside or be in your room and just take in the peace and quiet and be with God. It's so hard sometimes to have that. Even if we are alone, we may fill our days with noise and activities and things we have to do, and we may miss out on the peace and quiet that God offers us. Oh, I need to breathe. Just to take a moment with all of you. What are you thankful for today? Maybe it's 3 basic things like breathing, food to eat, place to rest your head. Maybe it's being thankful for your job or your family or a friend who reminded you that you're not alone. Maybe it's for warm, fuzzy slippers or a pot of soup or a beautiful day or the leaves falling off the tree or for picking pears off a tree like David did today. So where we have moved to, the neighborhood we live in is not very big. It's just a couple streets that go a little ways each way. Our subdivision is smaller. Many of us walk our neighborhood, get to know each other from being outside. And today, David was waiting for the bus to come. And usually what we do is whoever's going to get Christopher off the bus, we go walk outside. Well, we haven't done that since March. This is his 4th day back to school. And I should say, we already got a note today to say that somebody was already diagnosed with COVID-19 in the school building. So they were letting the kids and faculty and staff know who had been around this person that they needed to quarantine themselves. And they're going to clean that area, but they're keeping the building open for now. But Christopher just goes between a few classrooms. He doesn't go to the cafeteria. He eats in his classroom. He goes to the gym and walks around the top. They have a top area that they walk around. But so this week is the first time since March when we have had an opportunity to go and wait for the bus. And when we wait for the bus, we usually walk just right here in our area. Well, across the street from where we live, the area cannot handle, we are on septic tanks here. And the area, I don't know why, I'm sure it's the makeup of the land, the softness or something. But the land cannot support a septic tank or a house on it. So instead, the neighbors who've lived here have planted a number of pear trees and some apple trees across from us, and a few of the neighbors cut the grass and take care of it. So David said he was walking today, just in a little circle right here, waiting for the bus to come, and a little girl at the house, just kind of catty corner across from us, saw David and asked him if he would help her and her brother, and I don't know if it was a cousin or a friend or what, get down some pears. So he got down 1, 2, 3 pears, and then he looked at her and he said, "And can I have a pear?" And she said yes. And so he picked the 4th pear off and brought it home, and we had it in our fruit salad tonight. I'm thankful for that sweet encounter David had with the neighbor girl, or neighbor granddaughter. We're not sure. We're still getting to know our neighbors. And I'm thankful for that yummy pear that we had in our fruit salad tonight, that it was nurtured by people of this neighborhood who are open to the neighbors taking from the tree and sharing that with us. David and I have been going out and checking out the planets the last few nights. We looked up last night and saw, I believe it was Mars, and it was very red. It's very, very tiny, but you can see it, and it's very red because, as you know, Mars is the red planet, but we could see it. And we also saw Venus. I'm trying to remember the other planet we saw. But just to go outside, we had a clear night. We're also on the flight path for Atlanta, the International Atlanta Airport, Hartsfield, Jackson Airport. So there was a plane going over at the time, or on one of the paths. I'm sure there's a number of them in the area. But just to be able to go outside and to look and to see what God has created just gives me a moment of pause to be thankful. So I want to ask you today, what are you thankful for? You know, we often wait till November to start counting our thanks. And some of you may write down 3 things you're thankful for a day. Scientific studies have shown that people who write down 3 things a day, and yes, they studied that specifically, have often a better outlook on life, because even though they may have a terrible day, once they begin to think about their day and write down what was good, they realize that even on a really terrible, awful day, there's a lot to be thankful for. If your day's been a little bit crazy, it's a full moon. October this year has 2 full moons. Today, and I believe I heard Halloween. And the next month that will have 2 full moons is not till 2023. So it's 3 years away. But it's pretty rare to have 2 full moons in 1 month. So if you're like me and you like to look outside at night, I hope if you can, you will go out and look at the moon tonight and look for that red planet Mars up in the sky, because it can be seen right now. And I hope when you look at them, you will remember that the God who created them created you. And that no matter what you're going through, whatever you're facing, however hard or difficult life is right now, God is right there with you, loving you, holding you up, walking with you through whatever you may be facing. And that, as tough as life can be, and it certainly has felt pretty tough these last number of months, to remember that if God could help the Israelites even when they grumbled and they turned their backs on him, yet they somehow kept following him even when they got in big trouble with him for 40 years in the desert. Think about that, people. 40 years. God's going to see us through this too. God has been seeing us through. God will continue to see us through. God will continue to walk with us. So, as I often say, as I wrote in my article that will be in the newsletter tomorrow, remember that Jesus gave a new commandment, to love one another as He loved us, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. And also remember that God did create science, and science is good. So I hope that you will look out for each other. And even in the midst when we're grumbling like the Israelites did and complaining and kicking the dirt and being really miserable and unhappy, I hope that there, at the end of your day, there will be 3 things for you to be grateful for. And if you need 3, I'm going to give them to you right now. 1, God loves you, just like you are today. 2, God created you in God's image and made you for good. And there is good in you because it's from God. And 3, I'm thankful that you're here. I'm thankful that you're living. I'm thankful that you're on this earth tonight. So as I close, I was going to share a couple prayer requests, so let me share those. First of all, it is October. It is Breast Cancer Month, and yes, I know there's lots of companies that do pink, but you know what? I'm wearing my pink. I'm wearing my pink today for my friends who have fought the fight with breast cancer, and I've had a number of friends. I wear pink for my friends who are fighting breast cancer right now. I wear pink in hopes that the researchers will continue to learn more and to be able to find more cures for breast cancer and other cancers. I pray for those who have lost loved ones to breast cancer. David and I, one of our most favorite professors, David's mentor, Bob Smith, died a number of years ago from breast cancer, because men, while they do not get it at the number that women do, men can get breast cancer. And unfortunately, Bob fought the good fight, but he died from breast cancer. So I wear pink. I love pink, but I wear pink today. I had it on when I saw Good Morning America. It reminded me, October 1st, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and they were wearing their pink. And I was like, I'm wearing pink today. I got my pink glasses on. I have pink and blue and purple and others. And I'm wearing my pink for all those I know who are fighting the good fight, for all those who are missing their loved ones who fought the good fight, for all those researchers who are doing the work. May they continue, and may we continue to support the work of research for breast cancer and all cancers and all chronic illnesses, that through God's help and through the work of our scientists, we will find cures and ways for people to live longer lives, because I have friends who are living much longer lives than they might have even a decade ago. And I specifically lift up Jamie and Jill tonight. And I pray for those who may have received news today that they have cancer. I don't know anybody in particular, but I just share that. For those who might have received news of breast cancer tonight, I pray for them. So, and I lift them up. I wanted to share my friend Becky shared about her brother-in-law, that they were able to see him online last night, and even though he's very much still in the hospital fighting COVID, that he is still, and even though he's still really, really fighting it and trying to be in recovery, that they were encouraged by seeing him, and that he recognized, I believe, his wife, and was able to recognize her, and I think even give a little bit of a smile. So Nate, we continue to pray for you. Says, yeah, Nate is making progress, she said. And also Becky's grandpa, Pop, is celebrating his 100th birthday today. So happy birthday to Pops. I sent you a message along with the many other messages that you got. You have taught the generations of your family well, and we pray that you're having a big celebration and that God is with you in all that you're going through, and just praying for the best for you. So, let's see, I had another another one, but I don't have it, but I will write it down and share it tomorrow night. So, Sarah Lanier has continued to ask for prayer for her health, and so we pray for her. We also pray for Larry Schultz for continued getting better for him with what he's going through, but he's got a great spirit and he's doing well. So, and thank you, Larry, for being my partner in the stewardship campaign that's coming up about generosity. So, okay. So I did want to share, if you can pull it up if you look up things, but CBS News tonight had a great story at the end. You know, I tell you that often the end of news, if you don't want to watch the rest, they often have a really heart-touching story. And tonight was a very heart-touching story, and it was Bismarck, North Dakota. Yeah. And it was a high school in Bismarck, North Dakota, and they had on about these fraternal twins, a sister and a brother. The sister is typical, neurotypical, which means neurologically typical, because what is normal, that is what we say in the autism society, in the community that our family has been involved with autism. And the brother has autism, and he is the biggest fan of the football team at his high school, and carries a flag and at the football games and cheers and is very excited. And so at their homecoming, the brother and the sister were both in, you know, the candidates that they pick for running for homecoming king and queen, and they voted, and well, you guessed it, they picked the brother. And it was super exciting, and they showed the brother and the sister together, and the sister was talking about how they've always been close, and how her brother is such a neat guy, and everybody, you know, he has such joy about the kids at school, and how, you know, just it was so really neat that he got picked for homecoming king. But what she didn't expect is the high school picked her as the homecoming queen. So these fraternal twins, brother and sister, who are the best of friends, the brother said, "She is my best friend," were picked as the homecoming king and queen, and it was very special to watch and brought a tear to my eye to see the high school not only recognize the brother for his enthusiasm and his spirit, but also his sister, who has always been his best friend and his guide and has shown that love and care to other people at the school. So that was really, really special. And if I should be able to pull it up, and I'll try to share it on the church's Facebook page as a feel-good story for tonight. So, okay, well, I hope we've had a little bit of time just to be together, and I pray for you. I ask God to give you some rest and some peace. Doris, you said you were on here. I'm so sorry for your injuries. I pray that you are in recovery. I should have lifted up Pastor Will. He is a pastor at Eagles Way Church in Griffin, and he jumped out of a airplane with his son, I think on Saturday, and landed weird enough that he broke both of his ankles and his tibia, and will not be getting around for quite a while. So Pastor Will, we want to lift up prayers for you too, for healing and for patience and for strength and for whatever you need and whatever your wife needs and your family. I know you're surrounded by a bunch of great people, and I know they will be giving good care and probably already all are to you all. But just wanted you to know that we are remembering you in our prayers tonight too. So, Doris, pray for your recovery. Laura, praying for a job for you, the right job as soon as possible. And praying for Pastor Will, and praying for Jamie, praying for Larry, praying for Sarah, and giving thanks for all of you tonight. That's it for tonight. Tomorrow night is Friday night. We will be, oh, you're welcome, Karen. Thanks for joining. I'm so glad you were on here. It's great to have you here. We will be having Friday Fun Night tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. I hope you'll join us. Eastern Standard Time, but we do record it and it will be on. We will be having outdoor worship on Sunday and hope to broadcast live. We'll do our best. Sam will not be with us as my husband David's church is starting outdoor worship on Sunday, and so Sam will be going to help him. So I said we will be sharing Sam these next few months. Hope you can join us either Friday or Sunday. And Sunday, hopefully, like I said, hopefully it will work directly. If not, we'll do our best to try to be able to share it later. It went off without a hitch last week, so we're hoping for the same thing this week. So I wish you a wonderful day tomorrow. I hope that you will count 3 things today that you are thankful for. And like I said, I'm thankful for you too, Cousin Laura. It's really neat to have my cousins on here, I have to say. It really brings me a lot of joy to have family and friends, to have all of you, but to have family and friends who I haven't got to see in a while. It really gives my heart joy. So thank you all for being on tonight. I give thanks for you. So blessings to you all night. I hope you have a great day tomorrow. I hope you have good rest tonight, and I wish you some peace and quiet. And I look forward to being together with you again tomorrow night. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord's face shine upon you and give you grace. May the Lord look upon you with God's favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Have a great night and a great Friday. Trying to disconnect. All right. Good night. Take care.